Bem-vindo ao Galpão de Techno.
So thank you very much,
Thank you.
Dubfire, for this set. I think people loved it, even if it was raining, you know.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of taking my cues from the environment, which like a lot of us DJs, we're always thrust into, controlled environments, nightclubs, warehouses. We're in enclosed spaces, airports, hotels, airplanes. So whenever you have like an opportunity to play kind of against the architecture or the landscape or nature, it kind of instills in you, a different way of kind of expressing yourself musically. You kind of expressing yourself musically. Obviously, you have the crowd in front of you, but you're trying to play against the landscape, against the backdrop, and that's what I tried to do today.
And I suppose you already played in some iconic places like here. What was your best memory?
Yeah, I had a lot of people actually ask me tonight if I played any,
Really? Tonight?
castles or
Yeah. First
things,
castle?
things of this nature. Yeah. I played in igloos at the top of mountains before. I played in caves.
Oh, nice.
I played in any kind of environment that you can imagine, but I've never quite played a place that has such an incredible sense of history as this. I was talking to some people earlier, and I heard that Napoleon actually,
Yeah.
on the steps here,
Yeah, exactly,
said
the
his
steps.
goodbyes, which is incredible when you're here. So prior to starting, I was having conversations with different people, and they were kind of giving me a sense of the history of the place, and that kind of informed the kind of set that I played tonight. So I was really happy to have that, opportunity to interact with the fans prior to my set.
That's nice. And you usually play in longer sets, I guess. Tonight
Yeah,
your
yeah.
set was 1 hour.
Yeah,
and
but
30
for
minutes.
some reason it felt like time felt elastic tonight for some strange reason. I have
Maybe
no idea.
because there was the sunset, right?
It could have been the sunset thing. It could have been, it could have been like the fact that we were surrounded by such incredible history and nature. You kind of became immersed in it. You became lost in it, and that kind of, dissolved that sense of time that we typically have, like in a festival environment or a club environment.
Nice. And I also wanted to ask you what happened to the Grammy awarded duo Deep Dish.
I gave it to my mother.
Really?
Yeah, I actually took my mother to the awards, and for a lot of Persians, it was a real, defining moment, and they were very proud of us, and for me it was like, okay, it's like a bucket list thing, I have certain goals, I achieve those goals, and then I move on. I really don't look back. I'm not very nostalgic. I don't like to reflect. I'm, constantly living in the present and the future.
And after your really successful career, you have.
Thank
Do you still have goals?
Yeah. I have.
What
I have
are your
I have
next
a
goals?
I have a lot of goals. I think I want to be a chef one day. I don't know.
Really?
It's crazy. Yeah. No, I have a lot of musical goals. I have a lot of ideas that I haven't really fleshed out yet. I still feel like now where I'm kind of entering the next decade of my solo career. I celebrated the last decade last year. I have a blank canvas. I can paint it any way I want, and that feels really liberating. Whereas towards the last few years of my career, I felt kind of boxed in to give people what they expect of me as an artist, and how I evolved from the early days. But now I feel like I have kind of a new landscape, a new horizon, a new approach to experimentation, to taking myself outside of my comfort zone and creating something unusual and different and exciting for me.
Yeah. And so, people, if you have questions online, please don't hesitate to ask. I will choose just one or two for Dubfire. And some people just asked me when we were coming here, can you ask him why Dubfire? Why the name Dubfire?
I was a huge fan of dub reggae. I still am. And Dubfire was the name of a Lee Scratch Perry song. Lee Scratch Perry is one of the legendary kind of dub reggae pioneers. And I think Oswald also did a song called Dubfire. I don't know if it was a cover of a Lee Scratch Perry song, but I thought coming from DC, where a lot of the DJs tended to use their first names. You know, a lot of them were Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
They had a big international community in DC, and a lot of the DJs were international, and they used like their ethnic first names. And I didn't want to be someone that could be defined by my ethnic first name. I wanted to retain kind of a mysterious personality. And at the end of the day, I was named Dubfire after a reggae song, but I was, you know, coming from a Persian background and you know, an immigrant.
You come from Iran, right?
I came from Iran, yeah. So I think it threw a lot of people, you know, off. Like they couldn't quite figure out how to. And maybe that's the you know, kind of the characteristic of my career, like not being pigeonholed. I didn't want to be pigeonholed, I think, whether I knew it or not from an early age. And that's probably why I picked that name.
Okay, and you are talking about Iran and your Persic origins. Are you still connected in some way to Iran?
Yeah, I've
Iran?
never gone back since I left in 1979.
Oh, really?
I'm connected through certain family members, and I hope one day we'll have a regime change where freedom of expression, because I'm an artist and I believe in freedom of expression, no matter how controversial or how far you push the boundaries. And the fact that you can't express yourself in that manner in Iran, in my birth country, is a problem for me.
Yeah.
And it's something that I hope the younger generation, who you know, are the majority, will try to change. You know.
Okay. I'm just checking. There is question. I will. Oh, okay. So the first question I see, because there are a lot of questions. So question from Zabo Peter: which DJ is your idol?
My idol.
Your idol.
Well,
sorry.
being that I'm in France, and I was just talking to somebody yesterday about Laurent Garnier. Laurent Garnier, like, is someone I've idolized since before I even knew I wanted a career in music. He was always coming to Washington, D.C. every year, playing for a good friend of mine and his business partner, who eventually became my lawyer, and he's still my lawyer 25, 30 years later. And they allowed me, even though I was underage, to come at the beginning of the night while the employees are sweeping the floors and getting ready. And Laurent would insist on playing an open to close set. I come from an era of that was just how you played. There was no hour and a half or hour or peak time slot or whatever. A DJ would play any club or any kind of event from the beginning to the end. And Laurent was, you know, the defining DJ for me, I think. European DJ especially, who came and who really, to this day, if you watch him play, you know, it's like watching a classic rock musician in a Woodstock documentary. You know, like you watch musicians today on stage and everything looks choreographed. And then you watch like Woodstock and you see how the blood, sweat, and tears of the craft comes out in their face, and how they sweat and how they move. And Laurent is the embodiment in electronic music of that, you know, that quintessential figure. And that's something that I always really felt like was my calling. And to this day, Laurent, I never thought I could call him a friend, and you know, colleague. But you know, Laurent instigated, I guess, a desire to pursue a career in music in me from a very early age, and he's someone that I owe a great debt to.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Just okay. So people really are happy about this stream. Okay. So last question, and then. So question from Rutang: who do you enjoy playing B2B with the most?
Yeah, I'm kind of known to be like a back-to-back king. Everyone's different. They're all different. The great thing about a back-to-back set is it really takes you outside of your comfort zone, and it forces you to follow the other person. And the best B2Bs are the ones where it's like two musicians improvising on stage. There's no script. You don't come at it with a playlist, you know, in the way that we all do, like when we are playing solo. So you're really defined by how the other person follows you, how the crowd interacts with what you're playing, with what they're playing. And sometimes the most incredible feeling in the world is to be challenged by another musician. You know, I'm always challenged when I'm working with session musicians in the studio, but in a kind of DJ context, it's great when, for instance, Seth Troxler is someone that I could never in a million years try to figure out what he's going to play next, and that keeps me really interested and really excited. So he's someone I really enjoy playing with. I think he enjoys playing with me because he likes to see how I follow him, because I have this image of being like the techno guy, but I'm much older than Seth, and I come from that kind of Laurent Garnier era as well, so I have that history, the whole early house music history and techno history behind me. So Seth and I really enjoy playing together. So to answer his question, yeah, I enjoy playing with Seth a lot. And of course Richie Houghton, because Richie is just boundary pushing when it comes to technology and stuff. So he's someone on the opposite side of the spectrum that I feel most connected to, I think.
Okay.
Acesse agora a live 24 horas de techno no canal e conheça outros amantes do techno. Clique em curtir para apoiar o techno no Brasil e se inscreva para receber mais vídeos como esse.